Hi everyone, I'm back for another video, and this time it's going to be on how to maximize your chances of getting called for an interview after your AP application. So how to make your AP application the best that it can be. I feel like now I've got a pretty good success rate. My last 5 applications, I got invited to interview, rejected, invited to interview, invited to interview, invited to interview. So I feel like I get it now, and maybe it's just a fluke, or maybe I have some good tips to give you. So just keep on watching and then make your own decisions. So this video will be divided in 3 parts, as always. So tip number 1, be selective in what you apply for. I think we all at the start maybe fell into the mistake of applying for every single AP job that's out there. And it makes sense in a way to maximize your chances, like higher numbers, higher chance. But I think that's wrong, because chances are you don't actually want to do all of those jobs. Just because a job is called Assistant Psychologist doesn't mean that you would enjoy the population it's working with or the kind of duties that is. If you're someone that really likes data and numbers and research and audit, do you want to do a job that's 90% clinical work in an area that you don't particularly have an interest in? Do you think that you're going to be good at doing that? Do you think you're going to enjoy it? Do you think you're going to be able to learn from it as much as you would like? Chances are not really. So read the job description fully. I know it's overwhelming because there's usually quite a lot of bullet points, but just read all of them and read the person specs to see if you meet them. If you don't meet the essential person specs, don't apply. That might be controversial, but I just think the quality of applicants is really high. Chances are there are going to be a lot of people, if not all, that meet all of the essential. So you're not going to get called. I don't have a driving license, and that already means I can't apply to like half the jobs that pop up in Scotland, which is great. But I apply to the ones that don't require a driving license and that I do like, and I've got a good success rate for those. So if there's one thing on the essential criteria that you're missing, unless it's the degree, don't give up hope. It's possible that there are others. Don't apply, because I think it's a waste of your time and energy. Another rejection isn't great on your mental health and motivation. So always ask yourself, do I really want to work there? Why do I really want to work there? Does it fulfill my requirements? Because you're allowed to have requirements. You don't have to just accept anything they throw at you. So making sure that you only apply to the jobs that you really do want means that your application will be meaningful, sincere, genuine, passionate, and I think that reads in an application. I think when I read my applications now and the past ones, there's a lot of things I critique, but I can feel the difference. The first ones, you just get that vibe of, please just give me a job, any job. That one would look so good on my CV. Whereas the other ones are more, wow, what a great job, and I meet all the requirements and I have all the skills for it. And the reason I have all the skills for it is because it aligns with my goals and values and interests. So that's why I'm applying. It's such a chance, basically, is the message. Okay, so tip number 2, do your research. So obviously you've read the person specs and job description a lot, but there's more to do. And this can be really difficult if you're working full-time or studying. I know in England, jobs can disappear in like a day or 2. In Scotland, recently I've actually been observing that posts stay up for the full 2 weeks being advertised. So maybe it's not as fast as we thought it was. If you can, set the time aside on the first or second day of it showing up and do all the research. Research the NHS service or trust to see what's happening at the moment, or where are their priorities, or what happened recently, the current things that maybe they're facing at the moment. How has COVID impacted them? Why is it a temporary post? Why is it a permanent post? Are they doing anything to support staff during COVID? Is it an audit? Maybe research more about audits. Is it something about a population? Research about the population. Something that's really important is to put the job in a context and not to see it as a one little thing. You need to figure out what it links to, what time it's appearing at, and what they really want from this job. Why did they get funding for this job? What are their expectations for that? What do they have to prove to the people who give them funding. Another advice is to phone the contact on the application form. Some people have different ideas about that. Some people say that you should only do that before interview. I've been doing it before getting shortlisted, and I've had quite a good success. I think it really helps me tailor my application, maybe throw in a couple of words that I heard on that phone call. Sometimes those job adverts don't get updated in years, and so speaking to someone that day, that week, it will give you an idea of the current description of the job, as opposed to something that was the case maybe 6 or 10 years ago. But it's different now. So one example is that I called about the job and I said, oh, tell me more about this, delivering group interventions. They told me, oh, you wouldn't be doing that, that's the CAPS would be doing that. So then it's like, okay, then I don't need to mention that in the application, because I had sort of spent a little paragraph talking about how I was good at doing groups, and I thought maybe I can use those words to talk about something that actually was relevant to the service now. So I think that put me a bit ahead and gave me an edge over other candidates maybe who would have talked about groups. I got the interview for that. So another reason why I do it before getting shortlisted is that if I never get called for an interview, then I never even get a chance to call them. So at least by calling them before interview, I get a feel for the service. And then you never know, if another post appears in the board or in the service, or even a year later when that AP finishes up their contract, then you have that phone call. So make notes as well. When I phoned the 2 services I applied to the last month, I took notes, and then the interviews that I ended up being called for were like a month or 6 weeks later, and that phone call seemed like the furthest thing away in my mind, but my notes were semi-understandable. I could relatively read that back. So next time I would make better notes. You can ask some open-ended or general questions like, what does the service look like? Who would I be working with? Can you tell me a bit more about the service or the post? Is there anything that's not on the person specs that you think is important to mention? Try to be really open-ended. Try to make them talk more than you talk. So if you've ever done interviews, for qualitative data, this is kind of what we're looking for here. You just open the door and you just let them speak for 5 minutes and you take as many notes as you can. That's my technique. And then lastly, tip number 3, get some help. Stop it. Go the extra mile. This is so important, and I think it's really what's been making the difference between my applications for the past 6 months, year, as opposed to the ones just after I graduated. After I graduated, I was just all alone, no mentor, no contacts in the field, but also I wasn't making use of my peers and, helping networks and Facebook groups and Twitter, whereas now I'm so much more aware of what exists, because none of the support is new. It had always been there. I just was never actively looking out for it. So I've been baffled by the generosity that some people offer. They offer to look over your applications, they offer to do mock interviews with you, and those people don't even know you. They're just wanting to help. And it can either be other aspiring APs or current APs. I've had a trainee psychologist help me, and I'm so grateful to him. So you can just go on the Facebook group, I'll link it in the description. Twitter, if you just look at some of the hashtags, maybe that can come up, or if you start following a lot of APs or trainees, that can clog your feed in a good way with help. So start networking, put your pride or embarrassment aside, or your fear of bothering people. Don't worry, we wouldn't offer the help if we didn't think we could do it or that we wanted to do it. No one is forcing, me to make videos on interviews or to help. Sometimes my friends on the masters, I proofread their applications because I really want to and I have the time. I can manage my time. So don't worry, people will help you. I can guarantee if you put yourself out there and you ask for help, it will pay off. And if no one replies that day, don't get discouraged. Maybe the post just didn't appear in a lot of people's feed. Post the next day or ask for the next interview. Don't give up. Please persevere. Yeah, and if you don't know anyone, you can always just contact me because, as I said, I have the time and I know what it's like to not have help and I know what it's like to have help. Again, I think as you progress in your career and journey, you will get to know more and more people. But if you're at the very early beginning stages and you just don't know anyone at all, then I can be that first person. That's cool. I feel like this is one of the most important tips because it can really make the difference between an application that no one has ever seen except you, an application that's been seen by either a friend or family member or someone in the field. Someone in the field knows what they're looking out for and what constitutes a mistake or a faux pas, what's missing maybe. I applied for dozens of jobs without having anyone ever looked at them and I never got an interview. Again, probably related to a lot of factors, like the fact that I just applied for anything, but in the last year, I've just been using so much help, and I've been giving it back, and I've been enjoying the journey way much more since then. I know a lot of people talk about how competitive psychology is, and maybe some people think that no one wants to help them because we're all competing, or I wouldn't help people because I'm competing. But that's not the impression I've been getting for the last year. It's more about, if we all help each other, we can all be stronger. I think that's a lot of rambling, so I'm gonna stop it here, but those are my 3 main tips. Read the job description fully and only apply if you really want the job and if it's good for you. Then do your extra research, phone the service, research everything you can online. And then tip number 3 is go the extra mile and get help, and have people read over your application, have people help you select the jobs or prepare for interviews, and go on YouTube. There's many channels. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna link a lot of channels in the description that I've been looking into lately. Prepare. You can't just wing it. But try to enjoy the process as well. It doesn't have to be the nightmare that some people paint it to be. And I felt like it was a nightmare. I have felt that in the past. But things have changed progressively in the opportunities that I've secured, and in my outlook and my way of going about things. And it's been better since. So it could be for you. As always, if you have any requests or ideas or comments, or you need help, just comment below and I'll get in touch. Good luck on your journey. You can do it. You are probably closer to your goals than you think you are. And even the things that you have achieved so far and where you're at now, past you would be really proud of you, and you're in a way where you wanted to be in the past. Think about that for a minute. I'll let you reflect on that for today. But have a really good day and see you in a future video. Bye!